Hello and welcome to Wilmington, North Carolina. Wilmington is sitting on the southeast coast of North Carolina and has a population of 120,000. It was started in 1730, and interesting enough, Wilmington is the fourth and final name they came to 10 years later in 1740. At the end of the 1800s, this was actually the biggest city in North Carolina, and the majority of the people were actually black. And unfortunately, white supremacists came into the area, staged a coup that threatened a lot of black people here and got them out of power. Interesting enough, there is a huge film presence here in Wilmington, both for TV and movies. For a couple of TV shows that you might have heard of that were filmed here, one is One Tree Hill, another is Dawson Creek. A couple of movies are Sleepy Hollow and Iron Man 3. Wrightsville Beach, which is just outside of Wilmington, is actually named by National Geographic as one of the top 20 surf towns in all of the world. Craftbeer.com has actually named Wilmington as one of the top 5 beeriest beach towns. They have over 20 breweries here that you can go to and visit, so there's quite a beer presence here. Interesting enough, this area has quite a presence for new families moving here. They don't know whether it's just the mild climate, lower taxes, or kind of what the appeal is, but regardless, this has become a mecca for new people exploring the area. So now I'm going to go explore it as well. So welcome to Wilmington, North Carolina. About 15 minutes east from downtown is a place called New Haven County Arboretum. It's really beautiful, as you can see. This is part of the Japanese garden that's here. But this is a really beautiful place just to walk around. It's right beside a busy street, but the further in you come, that street noise really fades into the background. But this is really beautiful just to walk around, as there are lots of plants and herbs. They have lots of little seats that you can sit on that are all different colors. And that's actually another thing that's really cute about this place, is that it has a very whimsical feel here. They have things like a big frog. They have a little statue of 5 children climbing up a tree. They have a really beautiful koi pond with a lot of koi fish. I've never seen so many koi fish in one place before. That was really cool to see. And just a couple of other things. This is open every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's actually free to come here, so you really have no excuse for not coming to see the New Haven County Arboretum. I am now at Wrightsville Beach. Unfortunately though, it is way too windy, so I just jumped in the back of my van to do this quick little video here. Wrightsville Beach is actually named the top 10 South's best beach towns by Southern Living. You can take sailing and surfing lessons, and you can even go scuba diving at a historic shipwreck. Wrightsville Beach is a birthplace of surfing in North Carolina. What's really cool is that they have surfing and stand-up paddleboarding competitions here. But as you can see, it's just a really beautiful place to be. The parking's a little bit funky, but if you are staying somewhere near the beach, there is plenty of that. And then if you don't want to actually park right beside it and you don't mind walking just a little bit, there's a few streets over that you can find other parking. This is a really nice place to visit that's just outside of downtown. I am in Greenfield Park. While Wilmington has a lot of parks, they have almost 40 that are here, and I find that so impressive. This one really offers some cool things. They have a skate park here. They have a 5-mile loop that you can walk on. And they also have a really cool amphitheater right beside the lake that offers some really cool music during the summer to come to out in the open air. So if you're able to come to Greenfield Park, it is a really beautiful place just to walk around and check out. I'm on the Riverwalk right now, and this is a really beautiful area right here. They have restaurants, boutique shops, and even these little chairs right here. I'm sitting on one of them, but they have little cute places to stop, sit, enjoy something to eat or drink, or just kind of walk along. This is a 2-mile path that's here, and it just goes along the river here, and it has a beautiful view. And on a day like today, it is just, you have to stop and enjoy the area. I am at the Bellamy Mansion, and this is not only a beautiful house, but full of interesting history. This is one of the few places in the South that still has the slave quarters where you can go and visit it and see it in its original condition. You can come here from 8 to 5 daily, and it is $14, or you can do what I did. You can do a docent tour, and that is $20, and it was full of a lot of information. What's interesting is this is a big house, but once you're inside, it goes even further than you realize, as there is an attic, 2 main floors, and then down in the basement level. And you're able to see all of those. It was really interesting because within the slave quarters, they showed the bedrooms as well as the laundry area, and even where the bathrooms were for back then. They talked about how there was a 3,800 gallon tank that's up on the 3rd floor, and what the slaves had to do to pump that each morning and make sure that it was full. They said that here at this property there was only 1 male slave and then 9 female slaves. And then they do talk a lot about their names, their ages, and things like that, which if you know anything about kind of slave history, that was not always a given that their names would be published in some way, that they even know who the slaves were or their ages. Then once you come into the main house here, they show some interesting things, such as the main level windows actually open to about 7 feet, so that could have people walk in and out as they had parties, and to where they wouldn't have to just use a front door. They could actually step through the windows and go out onto the balcony to get fresh air and things like that. But Dr. Bellamy, who built this house, had zero problem with going as ornate as possible. From the columns outside to the ornate window coverings to the gas lamps and other things. If you do go on up to the attic, interesting enough, it's a pretty chilly day today, so the house was actually pretty cold. But when you get up to the attic, it was almost worth taking a jacket off. It was that big of a difference. But that little attic has a great view of the surrounding area. So there's just a lot of information in here, and it's just really well worth it. I haven't been to a place that had such dedicated history as this house, and especially with the docent. So I cannot recommend this Bellamy Mansion enough. Just beside the Riverwalk is this water street, and it's really cute because it has this cobblestone that's here, which just makes it feel so much older. And there's even a cool railroad track that's here that runs right into a restaurant, and I love the mixture between old and new that's down here on Water Street. Right beside me here is a really cool plaque. It's on 3 different sides, and there's one that's actually back by the Riverwalk over there. But this is all about slavery and actually how they had a little bit different time than other slaves. Is they had a little bit more of autonomy since this was a port city. They were able to learn how to sail boats, work on them, fix them, kind of roam around city a little bit freer. But because of that, this is really cool. They talk about how slaves were constantly leaving. They had to, of course, be very careful when they escaped for freedom. But this actually talks about a guy, William Benjamin Gould, who he and 21 other slaves escaped with 3 boats in 1862. And they talk about how he actually has a diary of that escape, as well as the next 3 years when he was helping to fight with the northern troops against the southern troops. And they said, as far as they know, it's the only diary that gives a daily life of an escaped slave. So it's really cool just to see a little bit of the Black history that's here in Wilmington. I am standing in Thalian Hall, and this is a very historic building. This was built in 1858, just before the Civil War broke out, and they still do performances to this day in this beautiful theater. One of the interesting things, someone that actually performed here in 1958 said that there are 3 great theaters in the world. One is in Stockholm, One is in Bristol, England, and one is here in Wilmington, North Carolina. So that definitely says something. They still have the original red curtain that they used back in 1858, which I think is so cool. Back here behind me, you see there's a picture of Booker T. Washington, Buffalo Bill, and they also have other pictures around here of people that performed here throughout history. So if you're able to come see this beautiful theater, I definitely recommend it. It's connected to City Hall, so you can just kind of walk back in here. You don't have to do a tour or anything like that. It's free to come in, so it's well worth it. I'm in an area called the Cotton Exchange, and at first I thought it was just kind of a beautiful area to kind of walk through, and it definitely is. But they also have cute little character places like this, which is a pub, and I want to show you something else that's on this wall over here. This is an area talking about the ghosts that are in this area, and I want to read you a few of them that they talk about. Not all visitors are alive. From men and women in Victoria dress who suddenly disappear, to a soldier who tries to communicate, to a little southern girl who has a fondness for prank. And I just thought that was really cute that they have this here, and you can obviously read all about it. They also do ghost tours here in Wilmington, but I guess this one here is very specific just to the Cotton Exchange. Well, I didn't get a chance to visit this. This is the Battleship, North Carolina here, and it is open daily from 8 to 5. It's $14 to go in and it is quite the crowd pleaser. You can visit 9 different levels inside, including the observation deck on top. And this is a memorial to the 11,000 North Carolinians that died during World War II. This was an active ship, took 3 years to build, and actually this whole area here in North Carolina was a big ship producer for World War II. So they have all that history inside, and unfortunately I did not get to go in for you, but I still wanted to show this as, like I said, this is just quite a popular thing to do here in Wilmington. Typically, I don't start and finish a video at the same place, but this is just such a great view in the background of the Riverwalk and all of the cute little historical area behind me. I was so surprised to see a few things, and I wanted to mention that here at the end of the video. It was interesting to see how much Irish presence is here. I saw several pubs, as well as a really cool mural outside of one of the pubs that was near Greenfield Park. And even one of the homes had an American flag and an Irish flag outside of there. I'm not really sure what the story is behind why there's such an Irish presence, but I thought it was cool regardless. A second thing that was interesting was how many different types of tours they offer here. I saw there was a ghost tour, regular walking tours, bike tours, horse-drawn carriage tours, boats, as well as sailing, and a few different other things. I just was so surprised by how much they offer here with their tours. A third and final thing that I absolutely loved about Wilmington was that they have done such a good job with preserving the history that's here. The historical district has so many different plaques all over the place, which was fascinating to see. They had them on homes, as well as commercial buildings. They also just had them even driving along some buildings that were still there, and they wanted to talk about it, and other ones that used to be there. But I just thought this was so cool. It's like jumping in a time capsule and going back to the early to mid 1800s. I say that because if you think of the Civil War and what happened back then, when the Northern troops came to this area, they burned a lot of the cities, villages, landscape, and other things. So to have an entire city like this so well preserved is really, really cool to see for here in the South. I will say this is one of my favorite stops that I've had in the US so far. The other one was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and both of them were just so cute and full of charm and history, and I loved both of them so much. So I will say goodbye here and see you in the next video.